Hi friends, it's Deanna Williston from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I wanted to come to you today and talk to you a little bit about habits. So this morning I had a complete freak out. I was so glad my husband was home because I was running around the house going completely insane. I looked everywhere for my habit. You may not know that this is even a habit, but this is the habit of the secular Franciscans. Actually, it's this. I did add a miraculous medal to it, and you can see the cord actually has knots on it. And although we have the same knots for poverty, chastity, and obedience as the friars do, it's not the extreme poverty of the friars, right? It's still in relationship to our life in the world and our vocation, whether we're married or not, as well as being secular Franciscans. So it doesn't mean exactly the same thing. It doesn't look the same. It still means poverty, chastity, and obedience. It means like being faithful to one's spouse, or if you're single, not having sex out of marriage, right? So it still means the same basic things. It's just not to the extreme level as the friars mean it. So I was looking for my habit. Now I take it off every night. I really can't sleep with something around my neck. And so I take it off at night and I leave it. I take off my wedding ring too. I slip my wedding ring onto it. This is one of those little silicone rings because you may have noticed I'm a hot mess and I will lose the regular ring. So my actual blessed wedding ring is kept in a safe place. And at night when I go to take my bath, I take my wedding ring, hold the medal and that, and then I wrap them up. And I will wrap the cord up. And there's this little bundle and I lay it by the bed, and I lay it right next to the bed. For a while I was laying it on my clothes, but the thought came to me, like, what if something happens in the night and I need to be taken out by ambulance? Like, I need to be able to grab it quick. So I actually keep it on the bed next to me, because even as time has gone by in my candidacy for the secular Franciscans, and as time's gone by in this pandemic, this little bitty towel cross has become so valuable to me that the thought of clinging to the cross this Lent is just become such a beautiful, beautiful testimony to me. And so when I couldn't find it this morning, I was so upset. And I just couldn't handle it. And of course it was somewhere where I'd looked 1,000 times, but one of my habits of not wearing my glasses first thing in the morning, right? I couldn't find it. And these are my reading glasses. It probably wouldn't have helped me find it anyway. So my husband was able to find it very quickly. And yeah, sometimes we need help with our habits. So I think one of the things that's been giving people the most trouble with this quarantine is our change in habits, right? So my habit is to put this on every morning, to really consider the cross. So when you put your habit on the morning, it's a reminder actually of habits, of the habit of prayer, of the rule. Our rule is a set of habits that we're asked to memorize and live. That's really what the secular Franciscan rule is. It's a set of habits. And so I'm home, which I normally am, but so are my husband and son, and they're not always home. And now there's all these neighbors home. Sorry, my glasses are totally crooked and I can't fix them. But they're home, and so I have to include them in my habits. So you have to decide what is a negotiable habit and what is a non-negotiable habit. So a negotiable habit is what time I eat lunch, what time I pray. But I still need to pray, and maybe I'm not going to do it at the same times of day that I normally do. My husband's starting to get worried because I'm sleeping in so much. I'm not sleeping in. I'm staying up in bed and doing morning prayer. I would normally come down and do it, but I find it's a bit odd because I know he's on conference calls. So I'm just staying upstairs and doing all my morning prayer in bed. Also, I can't really have music on and stuff, I feel like, when he's doing conference calls, and so I'm trying to do that more upstairs and out of his way. So he was getting worried that I was in this like depression or something, this habit of sleeping in, unhealthy habit of sleeping in, and I'm not. It turns out I'm praying and it's okay. But then times of meals, right? Times I walk. Now I used to just walk. I actually have certain times that I walk the dog, and I had to give that up because I'm trying to make sure, see if my husband is free. Like, does he have a time when he'd actually be free to walk with us? And dinner has changed some, right? We had to give up some habits. Can't go out to eat as much on weekends. I know for some people that's been like a monumental challenge, that they're not used to cooking all the time. I'm hearing a lot of desperation about that. It's like, how do you cook dinner? I've cooked dinner 578 days in a row. I don't know what I'm doing. Because it does become a drudgery. They weren't planned for it. They weren't prepared for it. It's like the homeschooling, the crisis schooling that people are doing. They didn't plan. They didn't prepare. They don't have an educational philosophy. So the teachers who are doing it already probably have an educational philosophy. So it's a little bit easier. They've prepared a little bit. But other parents are trying to work from home and accommodate their kids' learning schedule, and it's not really the same as doing homework. It's doing a little bit more helping when you have them at home. So, sorry friends, I am outside, so there are squirrels running around. There's a lumber mill in the neighborhood, and somebody just shut a window near me. Scared me half to death there. So what are our habits? And yesterday we were talking about St. Clair and how she started almost to despair, right? It was her last Christmas alive. She couldn't go to midnight mass. She couldn't receive the Eucharist. Everybody else was going. And she almost started to despair. But she had the habit of meditation and prayer. That was a firmly entrenched habit. And so when she started down that road, right? Just even started, because it's okay to be sad, but we can't stay there and we can't go too far in it. So when she started it, that habit that she'd formed of prayer caught her up and got her thinking about the mysteries of the rosary, of the poverty, of the nativity, of the incarnation. And it was that gave her that beautiful moment where the mass came to her. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to try and hint, link that up there. Okay. And so yeah, that's why we form good prayerful habits, so they can catch us when something like this happens. So if you are already a person who meal prepped, keep meal prepping. Even though you're eating at home, having that regularity, that habit is going to help stabilize you. It's going to be a little less chaos in your life because you're already used to doing it. So keep to that habit. That habit will help you. If you're someone who didn't used to cook at home every night and now you did, possibly look at some meal plans online, see what other people do who do cook every day, and developing a meal plan for your family may be helpful. It may be something as detailed as having everything down to the letter every day, but you may just have like, I eat meat free on Monday, I eat soups on Tuesday, I eat salads on Wednesday, and that's at least going to give you a framework, right? A habit of having a framework for every day, and you can play around with it, but it's going to give you some ideas so you're not panicking at the last second. So friends, habits can be very good for you, right? They really can. And so I'm asking you to consider developing some very healthy habits now. And there's some really great resources, some Bible studies that are out there that are suddenly free or super reduced cost, some Christian conferences, but as well, get out there and look at the different Facebook groups or internet groups that you may join even temporarily to help you start a new habit. You may consider starting a new group, maybe even just having a Zoom call like Meal Planning Moms, right? With a group of friends. And maybe you all kind of pull ideas together to have that meal planning time. Or how do you pray when everybody's at home planning? Whatever that looks like for your family, whatever those habits are that you need to encourage and develop for this specific time, because we don't even know how long this is going to continue or what the future is going to look like. So let's make it into some great new habit that will sustain us even when we go back, because it's going to be chaotic when we go back. So let's start developing little baby steps, right? Little baby steps towards some really good habits that will sustain us now in this current chaos and the chaos that is to come. So that was just my thought for the day. Whether you actually put on a habit or you're putting on some new good practices, may God bless your endeavors and keep you safe in this time. And friends, if you like this content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm probably going to put up a little circle with a subscribe button, as well as a link for a video. I don't know which side they're on, so you're going to have to check that out. Okay, friends, thank you again, and God bless.